So we can kind of get back to regularly scheduled programming. For a while we were working on Immune, ATYR. I think we can get back to our daily routine. So I'm excited about that. I don't know transmedics very well. CCO of Sarepta's gone. I don't know, maybe fired. Oh, wasn't this well known? Didn't they already say? Yeah, he was gone. That's not new. Yeah, I saw Replimune. I don't know if Replimune can be reversed or not. I mean, I obviously think the drug seems to work, and it's trading near cash, so it's a pretty good buy, I think. Open Door continues to lead in volume. New company on the list, CommScope. Maybe CommScope getting acquired. Yeah, CommScope being acquired by Amphenol, or at least a big chunk of CommScope. TMC, the metals company, up 15%. Nvidia up 1%. Tesla up 2.5%, 3 million shares. Amazon up, small rebound there. Joby up, acquiring Blade's business. I think Joby's such an epic short. Lucid and Neo trading as usual. AMD up 2%. Palantir up 2% ahead of earnings. We will be bringing those earnings to you live. Intel up 1%, D-Wave up 3%. Lyft up 4%. Novo Nordisk rebounding a tiny bit, up 2.5%. Atyr down up 2%. Resolve AI up 4%. And Rigetti up 2%. Interestingly, UNH, small rebound, huge decline, really massive. If you pull back the chart to 5 years, or let's see, let's go 5 years. Really remarkable, stunning drop. If you pull back the chart even further, the company building itself up for decades and then ending up, in the gutter. 2010 share price is $18 split adjusted, goes up to almost 600, roughly 600. Now we're down to 230, 239. I think that when you have companies like this that fall that hard, there's basically something flawed with their business model. I think that in a lot of ways they've been playing games with their earnings, and everything's kind of coming home to roost now. We'll see what next year brings, but there may be something just fundamentally different now about healthcare. There's a lot of blame being tossed around in DC. I think UNH is one of the least popular parties in all of this. Pharma seems to have gotten by a little bit unscathed. There's a much bigger pharma lobby, so it's kind of a wild situation there. All right, gainers. IDEX is up 18%. BioCryst up 17%. Freshpet up 14%. Wayfair, Newegg, Semrush up 10%. Amprius up 9%. Value, Tesla's traded a little less than $1 billion. Kind of a quiet morning. Nvidia, quarter billion. I think Nvidia marching straight to 200. It's at 175 now. I think it's unstoppable. I really think you could be seeing a $300 stock in the making. I think the GLPs are cooked. I hate to say it, but I think if you're developing a new GLP, it can't be a solo GLP. It better be a GIP as well, or a triple acting, or a new mechanism, something. And I think it's going to be a really rough road for anybody just trying to develop a Me Too GLP, given Ozempic situation. So Lilly is in 3 days. We can't wait for that. We can prep for Lilly's earnings. I think it's going to be pretty good as GLPs kind of slow down. May not be the miracle segment we once thought it was. Not good for what ails you, definitely, I think. GLPs are already oral. You can get Ozempic stuff oral. For peptide, nothing really beats injection. You can't. Tough metabolism. So pull up SEC filings, just go to LLY CF and hit enter. Pull up the last 10Q. I noticed a part of my model's missing. Yeah, sometimes you have to just listen to what the market's telling you, and the market's, Meta, Tesla, Google, Meta, Alphabet, which is Google. Literally Amazon, every company, OpenAI is telling you the same thing, which is we're going to buy as many chips as we can. Remember, everything's relative to price, so it's not a no-brainer unless the expectations are being exceeded. And the expectations, and you still have to do the math for other reasons. But basically, the math does not account for this 100x increase in demand that the AI companies are talking about. Now, one question is, are these products going to hit a ceiling? And I've heard from a lot of different people. I think that it's a mix of things I'm hearing. I'm hearing great things about the next coming AI models, and I'm hearing neutral things. I think we'll wait and see, but ultimately my own experience is that these models are getting smarter and smarter. I have my own eval sort of system that's very focused on certain topics in math and things like that, and these some of these systems are extremely compelling, and they're getting better and better. So nice, cool. All right, well, hopefully that settles that. SPY's up 70 bips out of the gate. Our port drops a little. Quantum, very tepid recovery here. I think the market's going to fade here. This is a very weak recovery. But, those things are kind of random. Amazon in particular, I'm watching, only up 30 bips after a real rough week. Meta continuing to rock. Hood down $2. It's kind of interesting tell there. CoreWeave also really interesting tell, as well as Figma. Fig down 12% here. These IPOs need to hold their Circle, CoreWeave, Fig, they all need to hold their weight here. Joby, total garbage. Yeah, I'm surprised it's sarepta too. Yeah, I still like Replimune. We already talked about it. Yes, we're still short Atyr. I did more research on it, and it's such a fake company. It's so insane. The whole company's biological premise is being run by somebody who's never been in pharma, and it shows. Yeah, Joby bought Blade, which I've constantly been comparing Joby to Blade, and Joby basically bought the business that Joby wants to become for $200 million, but their market cap is $16 billion. Come on, boys. This is free money. You just got to be able to hang on. What is there to say about Adam Feuerstein? I mean, I don't think he's doing anything wrong on the sarepta stuff. Burned a lot of bridges. Yeah, I'm not doing ATYR puts, although I'll take a look when it gets closer, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think he knows biotech. There's no doubt about that. Is he a biotech genius? No. Does he tend to scandalize things maybe more than he should? I think so. That's kind of what reporters do. So can't trust him. Yeah, I mean, he's been around the space a long time. He knows when something's clearly most of biotech. But yeah, I mean, it's rubbed me the wrong way many times. What's A&D? Aerospace and defense? Yeah, I don't really follow that sector, other than shorting Joby. Immune giving back its little gains. Yeah, way back when we just called it defense. Let aerospace and defense make sense too. Yeah, I don't get the interest in UNH. I mean, there's just over fixation on this company. Not shorting Figma, no. CEO of Figma is very, very sharp. Everybody likes him. I think it's just going to keep growing. No sense to short. I mean, just two questions somebody asked about Palantir at the same time. There's absolutely no sense in shorting a good company that's growing rapidly, that has good management team. I mean, you would have shorted Nvidia, you would have shorted Microsoft, you would have shorted Google. Just because the stock has an expensive valuation, people pay a premium for good management. Meta, if you get a chance to buy good management at a low price, that's the dream come true. But generally, you buy good management and good business for a good price, you're doing great. Really no reason to go pick a fight with the biggest bad guy. Go pick a fight with the weakling like D-Wave or IonQ. These companies don't have a business. Joby. Just because Figma's 50 times sales doesn't mean anything. Remember, software is all earnings. So Figma is 50 times sales or 60 times sales. 50, I think. That's kind of like 50 times earnings. That's Not right, of course. You know, they spend a lot of money on earnings, on sales and marketing and everything. But just think about it as, you know, one day that's somebody's annuity. And if you do that, it's a lot easier to, what is Fintel? UNH and Meta, totally separate. Meta has a long-term structural growth and UNH has long-term structural shrinking. Still no access to D-Wave, would love to have access. They only have 100 customers, so they're pretty selective about who they let on the cloud. No progress from anybody. I mean, they only want customers that I think they can really bamboozle. They have a very ideal customer in mind, not a startup that can only hurt them. And I think that, you know, they're very selective about who they'll talk to. And when they do talk to you, they're kind of interviewing you, which is like really cringe because, you know, I want all the customers I can get. I don't want to stop any customer from using my product. That is the playbook for almost every cloud business or every online business. Why would you ever stop your customer from paying you money? It's crazy. Novo, look, GLPs are struggling. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that, you know, they're having issues. All right, like I said, Lilly's earnings this week will be really telling for Novo, for Lilly, and for the whole space. I do have 𝗦𝗏𝗘𝗢𝗦 modeled, and we will have a baby boy. And of course, I'll show you guys the wonderful child, the new top stock picker, top programmer, top basketball player. He can do it all. Just a little baby, that's right. He's gonna be dunking, crossover, right out the womb, little quick cross, fade away. Little baby fade away. Yeah, I didn't even have to name him after a stock. I'm so happy. Next kids, I can't say the same. With the step back. If the whole family was like, Tesla, Nvidia, D-Wave, Sarepta. My children, I love you. You know, the rappers had the first day out mixtape, so does he. It's his first day out in the room. Sequoia, yeah, look, it's one of the most successful venture capital firms ever. It's the biggest venture capital firm, up there with A16Z of all time. The list of startups that they backed is a who's who of the most successful companies ever. I know a few partners there, all smart people. You know, they really get it. So, of course, hard to get their attention and hard to get them in your investment. If they're an investment, if they invest in you, you know, many others will want to invest in you just because. So that's kind of the Sequoia blessing. No, I like Atyr. Baker Brothers, some of the best healthcare investors there is. I mean, they're very good at like the old investing adage of like, when you have a winner, a really big winner, you invest and you keep investing in that big winner and let it just grow and grow and grow. You know, a lot of the people who bought Nvidia and held on, you know, they outperformed any investor, right? I mean, you could sit there and do research all day long, breaking your brain, hundreds of executives helping you do research, paying guys millions of dollars for their experience, intel, and information and intelligence. And the guy is just sitting there buying Nvidia all day is outperforming everybody, even if he's just buying and holding it. Because at the end of the day, you really can't beat one really great winner. And it's really hard to tell, you know, what that great winner is. For me, I think Abivax is that great winner in biotech. You know, I think, you know, a lot of people are sleeping on it because, oh, it's up a lot. It's 4 billion now. Man, this could be $100 billion company. You know, you got to imagine the future and ask yourself, is this realistic? Is this possible? I think a 10x is easy. Now, you know, it's never easy, but a 10x is in the cards for Abivax. Manager, 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, I mean, he is phenomenal. He is one of the few, and I mean one of the few biotech managers that I have respect for.
And of all the people I've met and known in biotech, he's literally one of the few that are worth their salt. You know, if 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏 wants to get paid X, you pay him X. He's that good. So, you know, you got to find the company before they become big companies. I think Duggan in a lot of ways is when you do say discover 2 blockbusters, which 2 are you talking about? I mean, there is a big thing about, you know, just knowing who to hire and being a good manager. That is the CEO's job, right? Do all the work yourself. I don't know anything about TMC, sorry. I try to stick to stocks that I know something about. Yeah, it's sort of like Celgene here. Celgene was a couple of billion market cap on one drug, and then it rose to becoming $100 billion almost on several drugs. They need to take that molecule and cook up some analogs real quick. That's what Celgene did. Okay, Rigetti's up 10%. IonQ's up 5%. Let's go. BMS kind of merged with Celgene. It was an acquisition, but Celgene didn't do a great job of diversifying out of the IMiDs, but they also made one of the biggest drugs ever with the IMiDs. Yeah, quantum bid will fail, as usual. Market's at 1% now.
BBAI is a complete dog. It's a worthless, useless company. We shorted it when it went up here. It's back up. It's something about a beginner's guide to investing. Like, but who is this guy? Is this stupid or something? How stupid is this? Lessons learned. That's just my game. Shorts going for the jugular. Free money. This guy's getting his medicine? I don't know. Hey, Martin. What the? Yeah, no information here, just stupidity. Let's see what this guy's saying. What was the good news? No, I don't read cancer research. I can't say I do.
Are we sure that the late breaker is the results? Does that make them good? Is that retrocausal? It makes your drug work all of a sudden?
Yeah, I don't know. ERS is not exactly ASCO. I'm not sure that it's really that important if they're taking a placeholder late breaker. No, I'm pretty full on Abby. Yeah, I can't say I know much about Twist, but I thought they've fallen from grace pretty hard. I think Plus is kind of a scammer company. Most people think it's kind of a joke. Sure, Marco. So if I'm looking at Palantir, the most important function to me is EM on Bloomberg or on Godel. So I press the backtick button, which you can change if you want, but backtick is a good place. Backtick is to the left of the 1 key or above the tab key on your computer. It's also the tilde key. So you press that and that opens up this little terminal. And if you type in Palantir, and you can type space or enter, it doesn't really matter. And then you can type EQ, or you can press the F8 button, which is the Bloomberg style. And you type EM as I just did. That's how I open it. And you get the consensus earnings estimates. We'll have the out years soon. Have a little dispute with our vendor about the out years, but this year, next year, at least, there's nothing really more important than earnings estimates and revenue estimates. So you click sales and you sort of see what the consensus is, 3.9 billion, at least for Palantir this year. My bet is they'll come in well above that, and then 5 billion for the year after. And obviously, if you try to think about, well, what is a company that had 2 billion in revenue, 2.2, 2.9, and now maybe, I don't know, 4.5, we'll see. And then next year, say 5.5 or 6. What's that worth? You know, the price to sales you can just sort of calculate here, but it's 93 times this number at least, and 72 times this number, which is quite a high sales multiple. Now, if they keep growing or accelerate growth, I think it's okay, but it's very scary kind of, you know, kind of thing. Now, with ERN, it's pretty similar.
but you can see the low and the high for the EPS. So it's pretty similar. It shows you some of the earnings history as well. So the consensus for next year's earnings at least are 74 cents. The low is 59 and the high is 83. Not a huge range there. 200 times earnings for next year. It's still not the craziest valuation, to be honest, because I think earnings underestimate their cash flow quite significantly. So their earnings number is higher than it looks. I don't think it matters when you enter the stock. If you're trying to figure out when to sell, I think the two have really nothing to do with each other. The only thing you should really care about is where are stocks going, not where'd they come from. Yeah, I don't know how you see separation if it's a blinded study. It's a tough one. Most people in that disease don't even need treatment. It's a really tough disease to develop a drug for. Nobody knows why the disease happens. And also, nobody knows how to treat it. Nobody's ever successfully treated it. And nobody knows how this drug works. So it's like a whole blind leading the blind disaster. Poor 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗘𝗢. Me too, for sarepta. I mean, good luck is all I can tell you. I hope it works for your case. But I'm basically willing to guarantee that it won't. We've added a lot of features, JT waves. You can actually just type change in terminal to see the change log. Well, nobody cares about changing guidelines for patients. Unless you're a pulmonologist or something. What we care about is the stock price. Stock go up, stock go down. That's really it. You don't get too many points for running an important study. Probably late August, maybe. I don't think you have to wait till September, but we don't know. Seems like a dangerous game to play. Market knows everything already, so yeah, we're just in bubble town here. They know nothing. Should I call Jim Cramer? Well, GJ, I mean, it's great for sarcoid patients or pulmonologists, but I gotta tell you, I don't follow medicine that closely that I care about random changes to practice guidelines for random diseases. I like I said, not a pulmonologist, not a sarcoid patient. Don't know anybody with sarcoid. Not really relevant to me. I'm here because of the stock. I need a good Cramer wave file. Yeah, you know, not everyone needs a high-powered financial terminal. I mean, I think most people want something simple. If you're working on stocks every day, all day, that's a bit different. Yeah, there have been many big revelations in medicine. I'm using ChatGPT, I'll admit that, for some examples, but HRT in postmenopausal women, that used to be standard, causes breast cancer. There's a bunch of them in like operative, antipsychotics for dementia agitation. PPARs were a big flub. COX-2 to some extent. I think most of them are in like surgical procedures or like to treat or not to treat. Maybe like some watchful waiting examples. Avastin for breast cancer. You know, there may be less than I thought, although it's listing dozens of them. Yeah, maybe a good one is Trazolol. Trazolol was maybe one of the biggest embarrassments. But yeah, it's probably some less than I thought, but standards like that change all the time. Well, HRT is toxic and causes breast cancer. Haven't been wrong about a binary event in about 12 years. So it's funny because like steroids and DMD has the same issue. I'm down pretty nicely in my Joby short, probably shorted at like, well, let me see. Yeah, this could be a good one to grow. Yeah, I'm not sure I believe that, Josh. I could see Vinay wanted to reject it and Pazder just kind of went with it. I don't know if I trust the reporting there. But either way, it's certainly not good, but the consensus went up for Lilly, 14.3 to 14.7. Q3 consensus, tiny bit. Yeah, maybe it's right. I mean, maybe it is. Never be too sure, but one thing I've learned about life is, reporting on how other people felt in an argument that you weren't there for.
That's a little rough. A little hard to do. Characterizing other people's opinions and statements after the fact, completely impartially without your own agenda. Yeah, I like sarepta still.